Voting in progress.
Okay, call to order the Lowell City Council regular meeting Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022 at 7:03 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bennett,
Here.
Councilor Harris,
Here.
Councilor Stratus,
Present.
Councilor Weathers, Councilor Murray,
Here. Have everyone on staff with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up, the approval of the agenda. Anybody have any changes, deletions, or anything like that they'd like to make? Follow anything?
no changes.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. Next up is the consent agenda. We don't have anything, I see. Public comments. Anybody want to make any general comments or topic or comments on the topics on the agenda? Yes, sir. Please, you can stay seated if you want, or you can stand.
Oh, okay, thanks. My name is O'Regan, I'm 62 East Third. I just wanted to say that I've driven around this town and it does not take very long to drive around Lowell to the side. And I'm finding a lot of trashy pieces of property around here. And I think it's time to get it cleaned up. And I don't think it's fair. I know that in the charter, we have a statement that says we make a quarterly sweep of this town to determine who's in violation of the codes. And I'm proposing that the counselors be a little more proactive in this and have you people do the sweep and determine who's breaking the codes. I don't think it's fair to leave it up to the maintenance department because they're very busy as it is. And I just think it's time that the council took a little action and take some pride in cleaning up the town. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
My name is Larry Sinn. I'm not a resident, but I do own property on West Second. Paul Reagan, Vietnam veteran, lives next to one of the smallest city trash heaps in Lowell. This city is not enforcing the code section, which is there for a reason. It's the health and safety and the good looks of this town. This town is a diamond in the rough, but it does not have any leadership when it comes to doing the things that really make it the way it should be. Let me talk to you about leadership. The school system back in 2013 and everything was really going to hell. The guy came in, fixed things up, and look at the school system now. What a great system it is. There was a leader. The city council, the mayor, the city administrator are not leading when it comes to enforcing the code section set forth in this city. I have been frustrated. I go back all the way to 2015 when I come in front of the state body. It just makes me really mad that you don't understand how important it is. There's some situations where people could get hurt. And I'm pretty sure that you guys would be called up on the carpet if they took you into court for not doing your job. I would like to beg the city council, mayor, and city administrator to start doing more than just having meetings and talk about things. Be leaders. And that sometimes takes some backbone. But at this point in time, I hate to see him being slapped in the face by the city because he lives next to somebody who, a nice person, but they don't do what they should do with their house. And there's so many violations. I mean, there's a handful of violations on that place. Why are you doing something? Please, please reconsider what it does and what it takes to make this the neatest little town it could be. Thank you.
I know you're kind of well off track, but comments being made at the mayor, not any particular person said in there. Next up, council comments, if there's any. Next up is staff reports. I don't see any. You have anything to add?
Staff.
Okay. Old business on page 4. Presentation of the Regional Accelerator Innovative Network RAIN people. Thank you. Carolyn, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members, and thank you, staff, for having us on your agenda. My name is Caroline Cummings. I'm the CEO of RAIN, and it's wonderful to be back. I was actually your first venture catalyst 4 years ago when the city invited us in to do some entrepreneurial development work long before Kristen had her coffee shop there and the flower shop. And so it's nice to see some activity that has happened. We're here today to talk with you because our MOU, you share an MOU, a memorandum of understanding with the city of Oak Ridge. And that has been $7,500 a year for 2 years, and we do 2-year MOUs. And this time we're asking for an increase to $10,000 a year for 2 years. The mayor of Oak Ridge just signed the MOU for them. Today, Oxa, my colleague, and I were here to present to you updates, let you know what's been happening since the pandemic has allowed us to come back into your community and do more outreach. We also want to answer any questions that you might have. Our hope is that we can continue supporting your rural entrepreneurs. Just real quickly to remind you, RAIN only enters communities that we get invited into. We are serving 30 rural communities in Oregon, and we've been doing this. I've been in the RAIN role for 7 years. So we're honored to be here and presenting to you tonight. So thank you for the time. I'm going to go to Aksa.
Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is Aksa Khan. I have met most of you before and I am meeting some of you today. I'm the Lane County Venture Catalyst. For what that means, for those of you who don't know about that, it means that I work with entrepreneurs on teaching them, mentoring them on how to launch their business, to connect with different resources, to walk them through the ups and downs of starting a business plan. That can mean a lot of things. So I will walk you through the work that I have been doing, about introduce you to our team. And if you have any questions, feel free to stop me during the presentation. Next slide, please. So speaking of team, I am the Rural Lane County Venture Catalyst. Then we have Robert Killen, our Deputy Director, who helps manage me with all the meetups and connecting me to further Lane County resources. Then we have Avery Pickett, who is our Policymaker Education Director. Sean Tate, he is our Entrepreneur Advocate. And then we have a whole team that's supporting all of the programs, mentoring, accelerator programs that are going. So we have Anna, who is our DEI engagement coordinator and is also leading the Raindrops program. Then we have Jennifer Damiani, who is development and operations. And then we have Darren, who is the marketing lead from Team Rain.
And I'll just chime in here. This is part of the value that RAIN brings to small towns, is that we help build capacity. Hiring every single one of these individuals to help with the different areas is not cost effective for communities of the size of Lowell, for example. And so want you to know, for your 10,000, you're getting a lot of human resources to step in as needed.
So about us, Regional Accelerator Innovation Network, our mission is to partner with communities to catalyze the entrepreneurial ecosystem, to connect entrepreneurs to resources, including the overlooked entrepreneurs, and to contribute to the creation of prosperous economies. We believe that a lot of times the work that venture catalysts do is we take the entrepreneurial or the existing economic development to the next level, and to create that excitement that already exists within that region, so that we're not coming in and telling you how to do it, but we're telling you on what resources already exist within the community and how you can engage with them better. Slide please. So this is the infrastructure for startups. As you can see on this slide, that there's a lot of elements that are happening around here. When we think of infrastructures, oftentimes we only think of physical assets or physical infrastructure startups. But for entrepreneurs and first-time business owners or already existing business owners, that's not the case. A lot of that is networking, having access to workshops, having access to local government support, talking about where and how you can get access to different capital. So all of this falls into the infrastructure for startups. Some of it is physical, and for that reason, we do activation work as well. But apart from that, a lot of it is mentoring and coaching and getting people connected to what is the recent media trend with retail stores and how they can follow those trends to stay engaged with the business needs. Next slide, please. The reason why we have a bonfire on this slide is we know that bonfires are never fun alone. So we know that this work can never be done alone by us. We need all of you together to keep building partnerships, to keep building together and to share ideas and to make sure that the work that we are doing is getting translated out there into the communities. So there are a lot of resources that exist, for example, with different grants about other business program coaching, but what we channel to do is activation, is catalyzation, is making sure that the bonfire is being shared by everyone so we can keep building partnerships.
And just to add on to that, some of the things we do with our communities is not just for the entrepreneurs in your communities, but the chambers, the schools, the city. Like John Day participated in our Rainmaker Accelerator during the pandemic because they had a place for plants that they were growing, a greenhouse, and they basically were adding a business onto the city. So if there's groups in your community who need help finding grants, we will help find those grants. So it's not just for the small business community as well. It's to help elevate the entire community's economy, whatever that might look like.
Next slide. So this is Jenny. She's an entrepreneur. Right now, she's managing her own business. But apart from that, she also has to keep on track with the local and global markets, about investment capital, looking for a physical space for her store to open up. That's a lot for an entrepreneur to do by themselves. And a lot of times when you go talk to these entrepreneurs or business owners and you ask them what they're needing, they will say they need more hours in a day because that's what they need. And they know very well on how to do their work, but they just don't have the time to go network to look for all these resources. And that's where I come in, or where my team comes in, because I might be the expert on doing the events, but Darren from our team is the expert on doing marketing. So we come in as a team and connect them with different resources, with mentors and people who have done the work. So someone wants to start their own a coffee shop, and then I would get them connected with 3 other entrepreneurs in our network who have started a coffee shop. Someone might have started with just a card, and someone might have started with a store. What is the different pieces of advice that they can give them and how they can use that to go on their own journey? So according to our current MOU with the city of Lowell and Oak Ridge, this is a summary of the 7 main points that I need to report on and keep working on. So number 1 is find and educate angel investors. Up till right now, we have held 2 training sessions on how people can become angel investors and give back to the communities that they know and that they love. Next up,
Let me just chime in on that one really quickly. So angel investors typically are people with a lot of money. But we received $1 million grant from the federal government during the pandemic to do outreach into rural communities to train you on how to invest as little as $100 in businesses opening in your own community. So for example, if Kristen wanted to open up another coffee shop or something similar, and she needed $100,000 to do that, we would work with her on doing a crowdfunding campaign. So we launched a platform, and then what we do is we help anybody in the entire country. We would market across the country. So we're doing that now with Arable Brewing. It's raising $190,000. and they're at 40,000 right now. Anybody in this room can put $100 in there, and the return would be, it's a loan that's being invested in their company, and then you would get 8% back on your money once they hit their goals. So we're talking micro investing in small communities. We're working with a company out of New York called Republic. We're the only organization in the entire country doing this deal with them. So it's a pilot, and we've done 2 trainings on it, and we hope to have you all involved in one of the future months.
Up next, we have conduct and update at least annually the RAIN's readiness assessment ecosystem element scorecard. It is a scorecard where we evaluate all the entrepreneurial economic development elements which are working and which are not working. I wanted to raise that point in today's city council meeting is I would like to hopefully if we go through the our requested ask, then I would be coming back at the end of this month or the next city council meeting that seems feasible according to your schedule, and we would do a scorecard assessment where we can go through all the elements where you see progress being happening, where you feel like there's more work that needs to be done, and we can discuss strategies on how we can strategically plan to incorporate those elements as we make progress with RAIN's mission. Up next, we have conduct ongoing community outreach. So that is ongoing. We have been going to different community events, school events, and to reach out to more community folk, entrepreneurs, however way that can be worked on.
An example of that is Oxa and I attended the Blackberry Jam Festival, which I come to every year and I love. We went around and met all 31 of the vendors and told them about how cities invited us in to help them. And they were excited to learn that there's free, because everything we provide to them is free. So we're doing a lot of online workshops and Oxa's here once or twice a month. Once a month, doing activities and events. So with the increase, we will be doubling, if not tripling, the activities that will be happening in your communities, as well as providing a dedicated venture catalyst for Lowell, Oak Ridge, and the Mackenzie River, where right now Ox is spread all over rural Lane County. So we got additional funding of $242,000 from Lane County through ARPA funds. And the only reason we can get that is because of the match dollars from cities like Lowell, Oak Ridge, Crestwell, Coburg, Bonita, Florence. And so you will be getting even a lot more for the slight increase that we're asking for, which we can talk more about momentarily.
Thank you. Going back on the list, we are providing marketing and communication supports. If we have just completed the Rainmaker, we have the Raindrops program, which is running right now. We are paying up to $500 worth of free time with a marketing professional, a CPA, or an attorney that anyone who is an existing business owner or wants to become a business owner can get access to. All you have to do is take the form on our website with Raindrops, fill out that information and go on the site, pick out a mentor, you're set, you're ready to go. So that's a terrific program, and it's being taken advantage of very successfully across the cities that I've been serving.
And that's open to the charter school, it's open to the public school, it's open to any organization, again, not just businesses in this town. If you need legal help, if you need help with marketing, if you wanted to start a newsletter, say, for example, we will pay the experts for them to work with you up to $500 each entity. That's through that $1 million federal grant.
Up next, we have activate capital in the region as appropriate and where possible. So as of right now, we have had a webinar about how to raise capital for your business up to $10,000, as that seems to be the amount that most rural entrepreneurs need in order to first start their business. And next up, we have coming a webinar which is going to be on grant mentoring, on how to write your own grant, especially the ones targeted towards more rural communities. So stay tuned for that. I am currently working on that program, and more information will be available soon. Last up, we have gather and report success stories at least twice a year. So I'm very happy to be here and reporting about some of the success stories that have worked with RAIN being involved in your communities. And I hope to be back again soon to report on the success that I have found in the last few months and how that is going and the progress that it's been happening on. Next slide, please. So industry is being served. We have served folks in food and beverage, service industry, construction, retail, education, real estate, and retail. Businesses that usually come to us are in a very different, can be in any stage of business. Either they can have just an idea and want to work with me on creating their business plan, or they might already be a vendor at the local farmers market, and they might need to create a website. So there's a lot of variation in and diversity in the entrepreneurs that I have received from the city of Lowell. There is a number that seems to be continuously increasing, and we will be talking about that. So events activating the Lowell region, as Caroline mentioned, that I am here each month at noon on the first Friday of the month. That happens to be tomorrow. So I will be at Stomping Grounds Coffee Shop. I usually invite other entrepreneurs to come in, join me. Sometimes we are just talking about what their business needs are and how things are going good, and sometimes things are going bad. And sometimes we talk about what are their digital marketing needs. So sometimes it's just helping them create like a Facebook ad and how they can continuously use that to update themselves. Apart from that, I'm also doing entrepreneur meet and greet at Main Street Coffee Shop at noon every last Tuesday of the month, which is also open to the entrepreneurs and business owners in the city of Lowell. So we both the events that I do are open to everyone in the region, and also the folks who live in Pleasant Hill and in the surrounding areas. Apart from that, we had the capital raising webinar on the 27th of June. It was held over Zoom, and Caroline had just mentioned that we participated in the Blackberry Jam Festival and got a chance to go around and meet. I think we met all the entrepreneurs.
Everyone.
Yes, we met everyone.
70% of them were from Lowell, which was
Yes,
cool.
yes.
There was more from Lowell than I had thought.
And we have this lovely picture of us from the tree lighting festival. Next slide, please. So here at Rain, our mantra is always what's next, because this is the progress that we have done in the last few months, but we want to be focused on what's upcoming and how are we leveraging the dollar amount that you put into us and how are we contributing back to you. So number one, we have the money maker that is running right now, which got launched last Wednesday on July 27th. And it is ongoing till October 9th. We meet every Wednesday morning from 9 to 10:30 virtually. It is open to entrepreneurs from all over.
Anybody can attend. You don't even have to have a business. What you're learning about is financial management. What is a balance sheet, a cash flow, profit and loss? If you're making a product, like we were talking to the gal that works for the city, and I can't think of her name right now, who makes the great soap. Yeah, exactly. And we were talking about how she's going to help do a workshop because she has it dialed in about how to make sure that she's making a profit on her soap. So we want her to talk to other creatives who are making products, because as with her accounting background, she's like, okay, it takes this amount of time. Here's how much the supplies cost. You have to charge at least $10 or you're not going to make any money. You don't have a business here. So not only are we helping the entrepreneurs, but the entrepreneurs who are here want to help educate others, which is really fantastic. So that's what the Moneymaker Accelerator is. And then the second half of it is anybody trying to raise 50,000 to 300,000. We're helping them write a business plan for free, put their financials together for free, connect them to a mentor, and then actually hold their hand to raise the money. So it's kind of cool.
It's very cool. And apart from that, we are hiring right now for a designated East Lane County Venture Capitalist position. So that is going to be another me, but they are going to be only for the city of Lowell, Oak Ridge, and Mackenzie. The reason why we bring this up to you today is if you have anyone in your network who you think might be a good leader for that position, and someone who you feel like can contribute back to the community, please help us spread the word around. We have some folks that have already put in their applications, but the reason why we wanted to mention that today is that we have extended the deadline for that position so that we can go to each city council, let them know that we want to hear back from you and we want to bring back jobs to the communities that we serve. So yeah, if you know of any folks that you think might be a good fit for it, please send them towards Robertson and
We have 3 good candidates already. 2 live in Oak Ridge, 1 lives up the Mackenzie River. We really prefer to hire someone who lives in either Lowell, Oak Ridge, or Mackenzie, and someone who has experience, at least starting a business. Even if their business failed, that's okay, as long as they understand the mechanics of the business. And so we hope to have that person hired in September, and as I mentioned, it will double, if not triple, the activity that's happening in Lowell.
And apart from that, we have the upcoming webinar on grant development. We will have an expert talking about that. That is a great way to continue sharing about the resources tied with funding opportunities, again, more grants and making sure people have the education on how to write those grants and they get to take advantage of that. And next up, I will be hosting an in-person event with our policy education director. She wants to come in and talk to the policymakers about in the communities that we serve about the advocacy work that we have been doing and how we can engage furthermore policymakers in that.
So basically, that would be you, right, as the policymakers for Lowell. This is a Kauffman Foundation grant, and she's an expert lobbyist, but she's not doing any lobbying. She's going around and talking to city councilors all over Oregon and rural communities, as well as state legislators. And what she's doing is it's an education. So we would bring like some food, lunch, and she would talk to you about what's happening in other rural communities across the country when it comes to updating policies to be more modern. And Jeremy was just telling us that you guys are already making one update that's related to the work from home, which is awesome. So that's one example. We're gathering those and then reporting them back to the Kauffman Foundation, and then they're going to produce a report. So we'll get mentioned in that report already for that one policy advancement that you're making to help small businesses. So that's really cool. So we'll work with you to get on the schedule so that she can come and do a presentation to you all here.
And also that report is going to be for national, for the whole
Right.
nation, to look into where improvements about entrepreneur ecosystem building have been done. And right now it only has 209 coalition partners across the whole nation, and Wayne is one of them. So the work that you do needs to get reported across the whole nation. So people can see and learn from us. Next slide, please. I would like you to hear from the entrepreneurs that have been already part of our ecosystem on what has worked for them and what hasn't worked for them. Before we go off into the video, I would like to invite Suzanne to say a few words, if you would allow me to, about how Rain Services have helped her.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Kinsley. I live at 88 East 3rd Street here in Lowell, and I've been a resident for 28 years. I am a commercial real estate broker and have worked in the arena for 18 years, and I work throughout the state of Oregon. I work with many types of clients. My favorite types of clients are startups and those that are new to leasing or buying commercial property. There are people who have a dream of their own to own their own business, a brick and mortar store, or just to be part, of what's happening in the community. And I get to be part of that dream come true. I have worked with Rain in many aspects over the years. They offer support and resources in areas of business, from marketing professionals who offer support, accountants, employment practices, how to set up a bank account, all kinds of stuff that people come to me and they don't know what they're doing. And I can guide them to a certain aspect, but it's better for me to hand them over to Rain, because Rain can fill all their needs and it gives them a really comfortable place to have resources. I grew up with entrepreneurial parents. They owned restaurants because people said my mom was a good cook, and she was. They didn't know what they were doing, but she could cook and she was amazing. She made her own salad dressing and people said, this is amazing, you should bottle it. So she did. We made salad dressing by hand. This was in the 70s and it was crazy. And our entire house came to a screeching halt and turned into a cottage industry business. My mom and dad were in every Fred Meyer, every Safeway, every Albertsons in the Pacific Northwest. And that is all the way from San Diego up to the tip of Oregon. We bottled dressing every day. The UPS men would show up at our house out in Marcola and they would haul it all away. My mom and dad came in contact with somebody who was a food broker who said, hey, you need to do this another way. So he introduced them to the people who do Best Foods Mayonnaise. Best Foods Mayonnaise took over the production. They took over all of it. And it went great for about 1.5 years until it did not. And it went south really fast. My parents were embroiled in a lawsuit for about 6 years and they lost. And my mom and dad pretty much lost everything because there was no support for small businesses. They had no idea what they were doing. They trusted everyone they talked to. And that is not the case. I work with people who are marginalized all the time. They're like, hey, I've been doing this. I'm selling out of it every time I make it. I just want a brick and mortar. And it's very hard to not rain on their dream. But there are certain aspects of things that people need to know. They need to know the legal. They need to know how to protect themselves, how to form an LLC, who to talk to as an attorney, how to open a bank account, how to handle their funds. My parents were terrible at handling their funds. If my parents had had rain or something like rain, I don't think their story would have ended the way it did. And on another note, they did coffee in a tea bag before anybody, ended up talking with Lipton Foods, and guess what happened?
You stole the idea.
Yeah, because my parents knew nothing
They
about it.
didn't have us in the meeting.
They didn't know how it happened or anything. So we have so many cottage industry people in this area. It is crazy to me, but then it's crazy to me about Oregon and how many industries there are here that you don't even know, from genetics to bicycles to world-class magazines. People don't know what goes on in this state, and it is mind-boggling. And there are so many people who have a dream that want to do this. They need an avenue. This world has changed so quickly with the internet and social media, and using them as tools, they can also be a huge detriment to somebody. So having rain to have my clients go to is great. Arabelle is one of my clients. The brewery that they're working with is one of my clients, and I sent them over to them. I just want you to know that I appreciate Rain's presence here in Lowell. I'd like to see it expanded. I'd like to see the council be involved because we know our constituents. We know the people here in this town, and we need to be bringing them to here to find out that there is a connection, that they're not out there having to recreate the wheel on their own. So I appreciate you guys and everything you do. Just to let you know, Carolyn did a marketing program that was like 11 weeks.
Rainmaker, the digital
Rainmaker,
marketing.
yeah, the digital marketing, 11 weeks. They went through all kinds of aspects. There was 40 people in our class, and it was phenomenal. It really was. There were so many people that got such great information for free and in the right track without being taken advantage of or someone steering them where they want them to go. I just really appreciate that. So
Thank you.
for giving me the
We
time.
had 3 people from Lowell and there were 90 people from around the state. Just to report on, like, who attended that Rainmaker Accelerator. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. It gave me goosebumps. I don't know about you guys, but thank you. And it's gems like Suzanne's story. It's gems. We would have Christina talking about our involvement with her as well, and with the city as well, who need to get showcased to the whole, not to the whole nation, but to the whole world, you know. And if Suzanne services, if I can take them global, I would. So that is my mission, and that is what my ask is. It's Christina next who's joining us live.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Can we unmute her? She will be doing another testimony.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my name's Christina Mills, and I'm a teacher at Bridge Academy, and I'm the career development coordinator. So I was introduced to RAIN this year by one of my coworkers, and I had no idea really what they were or how they could help our school. So I was listening and trying to take it all in. And then we had a problem. I needed to fill some speaker slots for our career, like a career panel for our students. And I just thought, well, I'd call Oxa up and see if she could make it rain, right? And she did. It was really cool. So we found out that we had a bunch of our students who were super interested in broadcasting and media. So she was able to give me several connections with people, that in different aspects of that industry. And so that's all she really did. And then I was able to make these connections. There's great people who are really ready to help our students and work with us. And we had a great panel. So so that really worked. The other things that was really good. So part 2 would be that I had some students who wanted some internships. So our school and our program is heavily focused on hands-on experience. And asked her if she had anybody, because I had, some students who wanted internships specifically in music production. So I threw it out there again. I was like, can she make it rain? And she did. She delivered. It was awesome. So she connected with me with somebody who was a teacher and at I believe it was Coburg Charter School. And we, jumped through some hoops, and we were able to make an internship happen for a student who was really, really interested in music production. So that was great. Another awesome connection was another student was interested in broadcasting, and she helped me make a connection with some people out in Bonita, Elmira area at the radio station KFOC. And so our student was actually on the air and did some radio spots, like kind of in between segments on he was kind of giving like a show, showcasing some musical, upcoming musical events. And that was just awesome. So those are just some examples of how it was really easy to work with Ox and Rain. And I think it really helped our program develop and helped our students a lot. So it was really fun, and I look forward to working with her in the coming year.
Thank you. Great. Yeah, we'd love to do like an entrepreneurship club for at the schools as well. Because there's a lot of kiddos who have ideas, but they don't know what to do next. So we help them create a company in 4 sessions of working with us. It's kind of cool.
And another example that I would like to say, and also a shout out to Christina's amazing skills as a teacher, is that there's a student right now, her name is Madison. So she met with me, she booked a meeting time with me on my calendar, and she has this idea of starting a costume design company, but that is going to be more affordable, especially for more kids that are based out of Lowell, Oak Ridge, Pleasantville area that might not have resources to go buy a store, to go buy a Disney costume that can cost up to, if it's good, it can cost up to a few $100s. And not everyone has the reach for that. So currently she's working with me. She her biggest problem was that she's not 18 yet, so she can't get a license, which to me is such an inspiring problem to have. So we've been working with her, and I'm telling you, this kid is going places. And lastly, we have the entrepreneurial testimony from Floral Living, which is Selena, our entrepreneur.
Selena always looks great. Every time I see her.
Give me just 1 second. The sound isn't coming through the.
Folks, I can drop in a link do the testimony.
For them to listen to it after, if they can hear. Can you turn on, I heard it through your computer.
Yeah, it's supposed to go through the L. I don't know why it's not doing that.
Oh, it's through the owl.
Hmm.
I love the owl. Is your laptop at its highest sound? Oh, wow. Read it, I guess. Well, if you want, we can send it out afterwards. Basically, she's recognizing how we've been helping her for the last several years, both during the pandemic. And all of you to please continue on with me. So if you want to send it out later, because I think it's like a 4-minute video.
Okay.
Is it 2 minutes?
And we can.
Little
see-
over.
Okay.
According to this.
Okay.
Keep going or move to the next slide.
I'll leave it up to you, Paul.
I think we're good. I think
Yeah.
And
We
we
saw
know,
her beautiful.
most of us
flowers.
know Selena, so we.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always run down the street and ask her.
Well, and she has shared.
Oh, good. Yeah, she makes beautiful floral arrangements.
If you can go back to the presentation, we just are almost done. So,
I'll take this one. So this is the arable brewing that you're working at that was hoping to open a location here. Is going to open one in Lowell, but it's going to be more of a pop-up during the time that she has a location in Eugene because there was some struggles with finding a location. But they definitely have their heart in Lowell. The reason we put these images in because this is a national campaign. You can see they almost have 40,000 raised. Anybody in this room can put as little as $100 in. Like I said, it's a loan. And Lowell, Oregon is featured on her main deal page. And Republic in New York is about to do an email all across the country to anybody who signed up with Republic. And they're only featuring 4 breweries. So Lowell will get featured on that. So we're hoping they're doing a fundraising event in Ninkasi in 2 weeks in Eugene, and we're hoping that they'll hit their $190,000 goal. And after that, they'll open their location in Eugene, and then they want to come here and do more pop-ups and partner with Kristen as well. Yeah. And hopefully find another location.
next slide.
We've got one.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Next slide, please.
Oh, yeah, those we took out.
Uh,
Just go to the last, just go to the last slide. There we are. The thank you slide. We took up a lot of time in your agenda. We wanted to make sure we only get to see you guys every now and then. I know some of you I've seen in previous meetings, but there's some new folks as well. We literally could not do this work without each of you. Even if the contribution that you're doing is approving funding, because the trickle effect of that is unbelievable. We get to raise money, leverage it from the US Department of Agriculture, from Lane County. The Collins Foundation just came on with $60,000 to help us keep that crowdfunding campaign going around the rural communities in Oregon. So thank you so much for your time. It was very generous of you to allot this much on the agenda. We would love to open it up for questions.
Any questions?
How many new entrepreneurs have you engaged in over the last 12 months?
So that right now, as of our total, we have 14 entrepreneurs. If I say no, it would be a great question because sometimes entrepreneurs that are already part of our ecosystem, we don't hear back from them for 3 years and we come back and they're like, oh, I took a break on my business and now I want to continue working on this. according to the metrics, I can give you a number as high up to the 6 that I have engaged with entrepreneurs that have started their new business, that have created a business plan, that have put in the work. But the amount of meetings that I've had with people to come and go would be a lot higher than that.
So 14 total, 6 in the last year.
Why, so, not to downplay your statement, Carol, but earlier you said a small increase, but in actual, we're talking percentages, we're talking 25% increase, and we already increased it 25% 2 years before that, the last MOU. So we've gone from a $5,000 initial investment with Ray to pretty much 100% increase over the last 3 years now, if my math is correct.
Yeah.
So in terms of amounts, that makes them small, but that's still a large percentage. What added value are we getting for that amount? Is this what's going to fund salary for the venture capitalists?
Partly, yeah, it will go towards the new venture catalyst. It will go towards doubling, if not tripling, the events and activities that will happen in the community and doing a lot more with the schools in the community. So we appreciate the increase. We know that 10,000 is a large amount for a city the size of Lowell. Do want you to know all of the other rural cities that we're working with have also been asked to increase, and so far all of them have come on board with their increases as well. We recognize that in order for us to make major impact, we need to have to be here more than 1 day a month. And so this person will be here 2, if not 3 times a month, not counting the online activity that will also double.
Yeah, I'm really glad you came to the jam because that is a place where there's a lot of people with some, small businesses and side hustles that turn into small businesses. But in the day, LCC had kind of a business development program that was kind of for small businesses. Do you interact with them? Are they still involved?
Yeah, absolutely. So Robert Killen, who by the way was on your agenda, but he and his wife unfortunately had a car accident this morning. They're okay, but they couldn't come and be here today. Robert used to be the director of the SBDC. He left that role to come join RAIN because he really loves our model and the fact that we're out in the communities. However, we still partner with them. Roger Wong has come out here before the pandemic when we were all in person. He's done in-person workshops here. We include them in our marketing and outreach. They have a food and beverage boot camp that we did with them in the city of Crestwell and Cottage Grove. So if we found more food businesses, we would do that. We partner with them on a regular basis. And about 30% of the entrepreneurs we find, we refer to the SBDC because maybe they need help with their QuickBooks and we don't teach QuickBooks training. So we'll refer them. They're a very important asset in the ecosystem.
That's good to know because I didn't see any of that in your presentation, and that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, we should probably add a slide. That's a good point, Maureen, but we should add a slide with all of the partners that we work with.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah, because the other thing I'm remembering, the other addition that you're getting for the extra funding is the advocacy person. There's 2 of them, the lobbyists that will help, right? So those folks come, the marketing expertise on our team and the grant writer on our team. So those are all extra services that you weren't getting 4 years ago.
And another thing that I would like to add to that is that what sets RAIN apart from other economic development organizations is that we're doing activation work. So there's no one in the game who is coming and doing events in your communities regularly each month. I'm the only one who does that as of right now. So that is what sets us apart. There are experts that are working on business plans or QuickBooks or other resources, but those resources don't get trickled down into the communities. And
They
especially
do if we bring them in.
Exactly. Especially when we're talking about rural communities, a lot of times people don't have access to the internet, or they won't have their special laptop, or they won't know how to go look for a grant. And that is where I come in, because I pick up the phone and I call them and I'm like, hey, I'm going to be at this coffee shop, meet me at noon, and we're going to be talking about this grant. I won't fill out the grant for them, but I will tell them who to talk to and how to talk to them so that they get the chance to take advantage of that opportunity.
But our grant writer will review it and make edits to make sure, because we have a 90% close rate on grants, and so we know how to do that. So we will review it for them at no cost and say you should change it to this so that you can get your $10,000 grant. So during the pandemic, we helped a lot of rural Wayne County businesses get their emergency funding because most of them missed out on the PPP money and the idle money. And we brought, Kristen was a part of the conversation with US Senator Wyden. We did a virtual session with him where 19 rural entrepreneurs did not get any of that federal money. And they talked to him, he was sitting in his office in DC. And we said, a lot of these are sole proprietors and independent businesses, not large corporations. They got left out. And he said that when he got off that call, he walked down the hallway, he provided advice and expertise in that second round of PPP. He said, if anybody on this call does not get money, to reach out to his office directly. And within 6 weeks, that second round of PPP came out and many of those folks did get money. So we're constantly pushing and advocating and cheerleading for these individuals who they don't even know how to get in contact with, like, why would you want to talk to this US Senator Wyden? Like, what did he do for an entrepreneur in Lowell? Well, he can do a lot.
Well, that's, Fox and I had this conversation, entrepreneurs by their nature are very busy people and they're,
Right.
you know, sometimes very
Right.
isolating. What ideas do you have for us to get this word out? Because again, I think that there are a lot of people around in small communities. And in fact, when we got Lane economic coordinator that I don't think ever came out here in the 20 years that I've been here. So we do appreciate your on-site presence, but it's hard to
Yeah.
get people to come to lunch or
Yeah.
even a break.
Right.
So what are your ideas that way?
I think one of the reasons why we did push so hard for a designated Lane County venture for an East Lane County venture catalyst is, and someone from the community, is so that number one, they're already coming in with the ecosystem of connections and understanding. That took me a few months to understand that. As you could tell by my accent, I'm not from here. But apart from that, it is also a lot of like constant involvement, you know, making sure that you're staying relevant. So whether that's going to the football game, or whether that is coming to more city council meetings, or whether that is, I've done a lot of door to door. I've gone on entrepreneurs' businesses and given my business cards and the flyers and been like, hey, talk to me, I want to help. And that is what we want to see more of, that in the position that we are advertising, someone who has that hustle and wants to make that change happen. And I think also to the point that we talked about earlier is more involvement with already existing resources, so more involvement with the city.
So I think, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think you were asking how you all can help. Was that what you're asking, like how the city
Right.
council can help?
It's enough for you to show up on Wednesdays,
Yeah.
but we talked about this, how do we get people there or to these events?
Right, right. So one of the things we just implemented, and you probably got the email already from OXA, hopefully, did you include the city council in your role monthly update? Or was that to Jeremy? So we'll get it out to all of you. So every month now, you're going to get an email from us that says, this is what we've done, here's who we found, here's where we need your help. And so there'll be asks in there, we'll say, hey, we're looking for someone in, well, like you guys have a lot of folks who leave the city, right? To go and work jobs outside of Lowell and go to Springfield and Eugene, just like Anita. 70% of Anita actually leaves and goes into Eugene and Springfield. So one of the things Ox and I have talked about is all of you here probably know something that could help a business. So we talked about doing like a mentor mixer. So folks who have expertise, whether it's in technology, in IT, in marketing, in how to negotiate, right? So that we could do a mentor mixer here and then bring entrepreneurs to be able to mingle and make connections that otherwise wouldn't happen because those folks are not maybe as engaged in the community as we would like to see them. So we will be including specific asks to you every month to be able to help. And also just staying in touch and reaching out to OXA because our mantra is what's next. Don't be afraid to email and say, I haven't heard from you guys in a few weeks. What's next? Like, what's going on? Where are you? Send me a signal. We never want to see this work owned by us. We want this work owned by all of you. And even when I get calls from KLCC or the newspaper or whatever, and they say, oh, Ray's doing cool stuff, we want to interview you. I'm like, no, you don't want to interview me. You want to interview Kristen. You want to interview Selena. You want to interview the Bonita pop-up folks, like the city itself. We're doing pop-ups, creating cool retail spaces. Did you guys see they were doing that? We would love to do that in Lowell because there's no spaces for retail, So we partnered with the U of O, the engineering or the architectural department, the RARE program, the SBDC was involved, and they built these really cool temporary spaces and they put them down at the farmer's market so that someone who has a product, they can pretend they have a store to see if it's even worth selling it. Does anybody even want to buy this? And if they do, then maybe they find a store space. But we would love to do something like that with all of you. Any other questions?
Any other comments? We have a motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the $10,000 contribution for the, over the next 2 years, that Emily approved this valuable program, but we're gonna ask it to prove it every time.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you.
But thank you for the presentation, because it did tell us a lot. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion second to approve the 2-year memorandum of understanding among the Reign of the city of Oak Ridge in the amount of $10,000 per year and to authorize the city administrator to sign. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor of motion to approve a 2-year memorandum of understanding among the Reign and the city of Oak Ridge in the amount of $10,000 per year and to authorize the city administrator to sign, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I feel like clapping instead of hearing. Thank you. I know it took up a very big chunk of your time, but it's great. We only get to do this once every other year. We want to come back and do more updates and bring more of the entrepreneurs because you want to hear from them, not from us. I mean, that's what I would rather hear from them as well. But we hope to reach out to you all again, to participate in the mentor mixer. We think that would be fun.
I will be back with the sport card as well for the ecosystem, so maybe we can take some time to evaluate that and fill out those gaps.
Great. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Next up is ordinance 307. That's on page 14. And Mr. Powell, you want to speak to this first?
Yes. Let me get situated here. Give me just 1 second.
Page 1 of 3.
Just
Very
working on
good,
it.
Jeremy. You've been practicing.
I'm trying to get this to work
Page 1 of 3.
so I don't have to read this whole thing.
Anyway, I can start off on it. Ordinance 307, you can come in with your reader if you want. An ordinance declaring a ban on psilocybin service centers and the manufacture of psilocybin products. Last meeting, we had a motion for a first reading and a motion for a second reading. However, on further discussion or further investigation, we found that the first reading didn't include, or there wasn't a published documents that was needed to be done by the city before the reading. So what we're going to need to do is back step on this one. And first we need a motion, and I'll make it. A motion to rescind the July 17, 2022 motion to approve a first reading of ordinance 307 by title only. We have a second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the rescinding of July 19, 2022 motion to approve a first reading of ordinance 307. And like I say, since the all the paperwork wasn't presented to the newspapers or whatever in a timely manner, that was actually a violation. So all those in favor of motion to rescind July 19, 2022, motion to approve a first reading of ordinance 307 by title only, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now what we're going to be going to is actually a first reading. Is your reader ready to go?
It's not gonna work. I'm just gonna read it off as fast as I
Okay,
can.
that's fine. So I also will make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 307 in total. We need a second.
Let me read it first before you make the reading with the motion.
So you're not gonna have a staff report before we.
We have to approve your reading, I believe.
Okay, so
Okay, yeah, let's do the approve the actual reading of it. So I have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a second.
He's right. You need to do the reading first and then approve the first reading.
I believe that's the correct procedures. I need to read this whole thing into the record and then you make a motion to approve the first reading.
So he's reading it and then we'll approve it.
Yes, let me read it first.
Okay, we can do that.
And as far as the staff report, everything that Mayor Bennett said was correct. I'll just add that we have a second reading scheduled for your August 16th meeting. There's an August 19th deadline for you to provide me with the ballot titles, so that'll meet that deadline. After the second reading, I'll have to publish in the newspaper that there's a notice of measure and receipt of ballot title that will give any citizen a 7-day period to challenge it. Once we're past that challenge period, I'll turn the notice of measure election into the county elections official. Any questions?
I did have a question. I wanted to do that before you got into the reading. So I'm sorry, I missed the meeting where this came on the agenda. Didn't know it was coming. And so I didn't hear, and I didn't want to do this offline. I wanted to do it at the meeting. I didn't understand. I get the law and I get the ability for cities to do that. What I didn't understand from the minutes is what the reasoning was for us to do this. Not everybody's doing it. Not all cities are doing it. And I wanted to hear what your thoughts were about why we want to move forward with this.
We're doing this, I think.
Well, I brought it up because I just thought that with the opportunity to give the city the opportunity to have a voice
To vote on it.
to vote on. That's it. Because do they want this in the city? We're going. No. For me, I don't know if anybody has anything to add.
I know a while about it, as you can tell, so that I just wondered if there was something I was missing that,
Well, I guess we just always talking about, things happening and then afterwards we hear complaints that they didn't get a say or whatever. So that was just my thought. I did not obviously know that it makes it sound, I didn't realize it would come off like we were reporting it. I thought it was more just that we decided to put it before the city. So it's a little more complicated than I understood. That was what I brought up. Everybody said it. I don't know how everybody feels now. We can change that if it's not done.
right, okay. I mean, again, I'm not gonna be shy, I'm not in support of doing that, but that's.
Okay, well, like I said, I just.
I'm not against you. I'm not
No,
saying that,
no,
I'm just-
Maureen, I get
Just
that.
from what I'm reading is and
My
stuff, I just don't.
Thought was just, things come up all the time. And so that was just my thought.
Yeah.
It was not, it was, the city will decide, not really us.
Did have a very frustrated speaker who was disappointed that we were singling out this business. We hadn't made rules like this for other businesses.
Well, that's where I think I felt like it was misunderstood. Again, the state is giving us as a city the opportunity to do that. And I felt like in that conversation that that person didn't even know that it was going to come up for a vote. I don't know, maybe he did, but it didn't come across that way to me. So in my mind, we weren't singling it out, except that the state gave us the opportunity to let the city vote. So that was my only thought. If we really are not okay with that and you want to allow this kind of business in the city,
For that comment, Mr. Collin, can you explain what businesses can sell this? And what kind of business? Because it's not going to be like Bridgetown Market or anything like that, or Montrose or any of these others. Can you explain the businesses that would actually be, that what business would actually have to be here to be selling this?
Or can you explain what is this product? What's it gonna do to me?
Okay, let me provide some information there. Back in the 2020 elections, I believe it was, the voters of the state of Oregon approved a ballot measure to establish a program that would give citizens the opportunity to use psilocybin products. Psilocybin products are made from a specific type of mushroom that has psychedelic and potentially therapeutic properties. So the voters approved that, and it directed the state to set up a program to manage it. Now, it's not like the marijuana industry where you can go into a dispensary and just buy it. What the program does is it sets up very specific certified therapy centers. And that's the only place that you can use it. So you have to go into this therapy center with somebody who's qualified and certified through the state. And then you consume the product while you're there and you're being monitored. And then afterwards, once the product wears off, you have a session with the therapist where you talk about your experience. So again, it's not like you can go into a dispensary and obtain it. You have to use it under supervision. And it doesn't legalize it for use by everybody to grow and to use themselves. There would have to be certified and inspected facilities that would grow it, and then have a process to dole that out to the therapy centers. So that's what this ordinance would do if approved by the voters, would say that none of that can occur within the city limits.
See, and that's what I'm not in favor of, because there are therapeutic uses that I at first acknowledge, but I'm not sure that, I don't think that's going to destroy the fabric of our community here if we were to set something up like that. It's not like we're going to be selling, joints out of.
I don't see a facility like that moving into town. They go
Well, right, so I'm just
they go where
saying,
the populations are.
I'm just not sure we need to.
well, then let's just drop it and not.
I think that's just one person.
That's fine. I was really thinking of, just the voters. That's all.
I think we were all kind of going on the same track. Another drug in the environment. Everybody had heard about the magic mushrooms from the 60s and everything like that.
So if it's not important to us,
We
then
can
let's
table
not push it.
this and just walk away from it.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make one other comment. This came about because the city attorney forwarded information to me in June, I believe, which I forwarded to the council. And the city attorney noted that if any cities want to ban this product or delay its implementation, that we have a deadline to do this election. Otherwise, we miss out.
And that was the other reason I thought if we're going to do it, again.
But again, part of my justification about not going forward with this is we just had a big evaluation session about what all we have loaded on the city administrator. And in terms of my big deal meter, this takes time, everything does, and not, everything just takes a little bit of time, but it's again, one of those things that has to be managed, has to be organized, more deadlines. more everything, and to me, it just didn't rise to the level of, oh my gosh, this is, with this deadline, oh my goodness, this is gonna be our only chance to deal with this. I hardly believe that Lowell's gonna be the only position or city in this state that's gonna have a big problem with this and that we need to act on it. So again, it's just one of those things, you gotta draw a line someplace. I do my line there. That's my reason. I'm more worried about this time than I am about a psilocybin.
Chairman, if you wanted to step back from this, is there anything you need to do?
Just take no action and it dies.
We rescinded the motion already, so that's the action that was needed.
So is everybody good with that?
We have a motion, and I believe we have a second. But it was done before the meeting. So was that,
No, that was just
No.
the rescinding the one from last
No,
time.
we didn't finish the other motion because we decided we need to read it
so,
first, so.
so it
So we
fails
rescinded
without,
it and so
in
it
that
can
case,
die.
it fails without a second.
There is no motion because he was going to do the first reading first, and then that's when I wanted the discussion before we went into the next.
I thought it's what the meeting came after the motion.
That's not what the agenda says.
I know, but I mean, the prior act didn't read that. But anyway, if
So,
in that case it fails. we go forward.
I did advertise a second reading at the August 16th meeting, so I'll just note at the beginning of the August 16th meeting that we won't be doing the public hearing.
Can you just say that the council decided not to pursue it?
Yes.
And should we let anybody know that? I guess they just find that out in the,
If they show up, I will announce it at the start.
well, I'm just saying about one person.
and you don't have to do anything in the newspaper about the notice that's put in before.
No.
And take that notice and read those things.
I do just.
Okay, we're moving on to new business on page 19. Motion to approve resolution 790, resolution for authorizing extension of the maturity of the city of Lowell, Wayne County, Oregon, full faith and credit financial agreement. Mr. Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This resolution and the associated agreement and note are to extend our loan with Government Capital Corporation in the amount of $310,000. In August 2020, the city acquired this loan in order to obtain the East Main Street properties. The principal on that loan is due in September. We're still working through the environmental process, which is holding up the sale. We intend to use the sale proceeds to pay off the loan. So we're going to have to extend the loan, and that's what this would do. The additional costs include a bank fee of $4,003, bond attorney fees of $3,500. And if this loan goes through the entire year, that's interest payments of $8,004. I will say that if we're getting towards the end of this calendar year and we're still not really far along on the property, then I'm going to look at refinancing this for a longer term loan. Because as of right now, it could possibly be another year if we get to the point where we can sell it. So I'll monitor this and report back to you. Look at some other options as we get further along if necessary.
When you say the end of the year, you mean 2023, right?
The end of this calendar year.
2022.
So if December comes around and we're still battling with DEQ on this, I think we should start shopping around because government capital is not going to give us another extension.
What was the interest increase, the
660.
interest rate increase for the extension?
I asked our representative about that. She said some language in the contract wouldn't let the interest actually go up. So where they got that was with the bank fee. That's what the bank fee is for. The interest stays the same, but they tacked on the bank fee to make up for that.
More like points rather than rate, that's. Because government capital's like doubling interest rates on school stuff, so.
I'm assuming we're keeping a tabulation of additional costs that are incurred because of the tank.
Absolutely.
I suppose that makes sense.
And I'll have more to report on that later this month.
Such a small, somebody can do it much.
I'd like a motion to approve resolution 790, a resolution authorizing an extension of the maturity of the city of Lowell, Lane County, Oregon's full faith and credit financing agreement and note series 2020 taxable and related matter.
Good motion, we have a second. We have a motion and a second. To approve the resolution 790, a resolution authorizing an extension of the maturity of the city of Lowell, Lane, Oregon. Full faith and credit financing agreement and note series 2020 taxable and related matters. We have further questions or discussions? All those in favor of motion to approve resolution 790, a resolution authorizing extension of the maturity of the city of Lowell, Lane County, Oregon, full faith and credit financing agreement and note series 2020 taxable and related matters, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Expect there's a follow-up discussion on land and water conservation grant on page 28.
Yes, I wanted to report back to the council on my meeting with the grant program coordinator with the Land and Water Conservation Fund. As I reported at the last regular meeting, we did not get our grant to do the phase 1 project. We currently have the LWCF grant. We're going to use the other grant to match that. So I had a conversation with the LWCF grant coordinator, and she said that there's no rush or no timeline for us to withdraw it or to come up with a plan. She said we can kind of wait and see how things go. We can even apply next year for the LGGP program. So my thinking is to just sit on this and to work through the fall. Once we get moved in, 70 North Pioneer Street, pivot to the parks, come back to this, generate some ideas, maybe look at some other funding streams, look at downsizing the project before we make a decision on this application. She did say that we could reduce the scope and that the funding committee and the National Park Service really liked the playground and they liked the shade trees and vegetation. So if we want to cut things out, we need to keep those, at least keep those. But if we want to cut those out, we're probably looking at having to redo a whole new application. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, but I have a question about that because I didn't participate on that Rolling Rock plan and I wasn't on the Parks Committee, but usually things that I've been involved in and I read through the whole plan where, you know, you have, there's metrics, you know, you need so many parks, so many acres for so many people and different kinds of parks and stuff. I just question whether that's the best place for yet another playground. We have playgrounds at Paul Fisher and the marina and the school. And, you know, Rolling Rock was always kind of intended to be more of an adult event kind of park. And there's no fencing around there. There never has been any fencing and it's right next to the bus stop. It's not, I don't know what the discussion with the park planners was, except that it's a cool spot and it looks, you know, playground equipment looks cool and it's fun and all of that, but I just don't, I'd like to learn more. And again, didn't want to do this offline with just Jeremy. I wanted to bring it up here because that's just what I'm thinking about and that's what I'd like to look at. So to have the playground prioritized here just to go get the grant money to do it because they'll give us the money if we do the playground, to me is backwards. You know, figure out what we need first. We've always said that because we've got the state amphitheater there, that more importantly, was greening the park up, putting this seating there to, again, make it this amphitheater. Not the playground. You know, so I'd like to do a little bit more, I'd like to get a little bit more educated about that, about whether that's still the priorities. Plan was developed quite a while ago. Wondering if it's still valid. It's a big chunk of change.
I'd like to think, is there anything in lieu of the playground? So that's obviously serving a certain age group in general, a playground. That would something like the basketball courts stand in lieu of that in the committee's eyes, in the grant committee's eyes, as an adequate substitution in terms of prioritization, right? Because to me, that's an argument that's. I have concerns that, you know, we have a small asphalt basketball court down at the marina, and we really have kind of lost access to the gyms on a regular basis and the covered basketball area at the grade school. And I think that's something that's fairly affordable for upkeep, fairly affordable for install, and serves a different age group in our community, possibly a lot of age groups as a service in a wider manner than
Well, it sounds like we have time. We can kind of, I mean, this thing is kind of held there, right? And so we have time, and we can revisit that and figure out what our real priorities are, and then go back and say, is there a way we can do it this way? And you don't have to decide. It's not like we're deciding today.
I do have concerns that the school's equipment in the long run, depending on how society goes, will eventually be less and less accessible to, you know, outside school members.
And it is, the basketball court down there is used, I agree with you, we've got an asphalt pad out there, we got that gravel pad, it's not asphalt, but they got that gravel pad. And it's about it's the same size as a basketball court, and it seemed like, I know we were talking about a basketball court here in Paul Fisher, and it's talking about $50,000, and I don't know that I want to spend $50,000.
Kids are traveling all the way into Thurston, to the park that's in there off of Oxford Parkway. Kids are traveling all the way, historically have been all the way to Washington Jefferson Street Bridges to play basketball. Possibly some of the U of O pickup courts. There's a market, and you know, to use a wrong term here, for that venue. And will, I think, to me, like I said, if it would serve as an adequate substitute and be a placeholder in terms of prioritization or categorization for the grant committee, I would propose that over it right now.
And again, basketball court, the Paul Fisher, right up, butted up next to houses is, I mean, that's why I don't want to be critical because it wasn't part of the process, but I don't understand one for the other one. That's totally an underserved group, but you know, teenagers that need more.
We denied them a skate park years ago. We envisioned that, and we've cut in on the basketball court availability with the fencing at the grade school, and it's not as easy to get in gym time with the new gym as it was previously, probably with the old gym.
Yeah, it's just not.
I think it's
Everybody had a piece of the gym.
I think it's something to be considered if we get partial funding for it or something like that. So there's got to be somebody, you know, some group that would, in addition, maybe whatever money for basketball court. Yeah, I don't like that whole.
Well, but again, I think it's an overall plan. You know, we can't just start. You know,
Right.
one council says, "Well, I want this over there, and I want that over there." You know, it needs to be. And I just think that maybe if there is enough, you know, just interest, that we should just relook at the plan.
So
Then go after grant money, but we're driving, we're chasing money to do something, you know.
So
and I-
we've identified the need for another playground through planning and everything else, and we said, well, we want to put it here. And we've identified the need for a basketball court, we said we want to put it here. Maybe we've just got it in the wrong places. Maybe really the way to go is let's expand the playground at Paul Fisher Park and make it really a playground park. And let's make keep going with the ability, the park focus on Rolling Rock to be a more mature audience of Rolling Rock Park, and that would be, that would be basketball court, seating, the thing. And it doesn't mean we can't ever have a playground at Rolling
Right,
Rock Park.
right.
It's just maybe that's not where we go first.
Who we try and serve, you know,
Mr. Mayor, if I could jump in for just a moment, I hear everything that the council is saying, and these are great ideas. And, you know, we're not going to come up with the answers tonight. I just want you to let us know this is still out there and we still have time to work on it. And one thing that I would encourage you to think about as we contemplate this over the next few weeks and months is if there are, you know, if we do want to see some changes to these master plans, if one thing over here is not right, if something over here is not right, is to contemplate, you know, what do we need to do to get a plan that's going to have agreement for everybody that we can agree to stick to, because what's important with these plans is whenever we give it to the granting agencies, this is what we use to show them that we've invested time in the process, that we've involved the community. And if we don't have a solid plan, we're not going to get grant money. That's kind of like for that.
So, well, here's what I find interesting, Jeremy, is, so we have 2 parks that we've laid out plans for. They're 400 yards apart. So to me, saying basketball court there now instead of playground there now, and to me, that's, I mean, there's cities that have parks significantly larger than from the edge of Paul Fisher to the far side of Rolling Rock. It's just it's kind of like moving your living room table and your dining room table and maybe something else in your kitchen. It's a small adjustment. It's not like these things we're talking about are gigantic changes to the plans that have been worked on very hard, and you know, a lot of you know, thought and effort put into them. Really not big adjustments.
I agree, since it's a parks plan. It seems like you say, it's a possibility to pick up different parks and do that to it, hopefully. I realize it's different than the plan. When they turn to whatever page, it said, show me where it said that, it's not going to be there. It said 400 yards apart, it's not like it.
it's not like we're saying we're going to change it from, you know, residential use to a different use, and we're trying to go after money when we don't have the fundamental zoning and access to that.
And we're talking about a reduction in the overall holistic approach, like, okay, well, if we can't get $750,000 for the entire phase 1 project for Rolling Rock Park, where do we step back to? Somewhere in the neighborhood of $130,000 to $175,000 and add the best value to our community. To me, that would be a shade trees. I always advocate for planting trees as soon as we can, and that basketball court. And you know, if that's where we end up with after phase 1, instead of everything, you know, then that's probably a good place to be, in my opinion.
I hear your plans change, and I'm going to enlist your help on explaining that the best we can when we get to the point of talking to the funders.
Okay, do we have a public comment?
Okay, next item, motion to approve resolution 792, a resolution to amend the utility assistance program.
This is a follow-up from the last regular meeting. There was some interest in increasing the benefit from a 25% reduction to a 30% reduction. That's what this resolution would do. If you were to look at our current 18 customers, the cost to the city for the reduction is about $6,000 per year. So that's $6,000 in sales revenues the city wouldn't be receiving as a result of the discount. If you look at the individual bill, if you just for the volumetric rate, that's about a $30 per month savings for the customer.
For the additional 5%,
Correct. Or
or is that the full 30%?
That's the full, if you go the full 30%, then they're saving $30 off their bill.
So we're going from 25 to 30 bucks.
Approximately.
What was that other, I guess it's not in the packet, was that in an email?
It's in
So-
an email,
so-
I've got it right here.
Yeah.
So 6,000 a year, so about
Yeah.
500 a month.
Correct. Let me pull up what I sent.
Yeah, it'd be good for you
Because we're looking at.
to do with that additional information that other people don't have.
You can't really see it good up here.
There's one change, but it wasn't on usage, it's on the base. That's not a rate, it's on base.
So the 25% discount to this, to us is $1,000. Is that right? How I'm understanding?
For which one?
I'm just looking at the difference between 25% and 30%, the total annual sales charge.
So total, the 25% currently is costing us 15,000. Or that's how much revenues that we're getting.
Right, versus what 100% would be the 20,000.
Correct.
20,006, yeah. So the difference between the 15,448 and the 14,418 is what?
That's what I'm saying.
That's about $1,000.
That's all
Certainly,
we're talking
5,000
about.
or
Yeah.
5,000.
Which,
It's not gonna make.
that was to your point, is just don't make people go behind when we say we're helping you.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this was, I appreciate this analysis.
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Yeah, very much, thank you.
So just keep things moving. I'd like a motion to approve resolution 792, a resolution to amend the utility assistance program to 30% from the current 25%.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 792, a resolution to amend the utility assistance program. We have further discussion. Questions? Hearing, seeing any? Motion. All those in favor of motion to approve resolution 792, a resolution to amend the utility assistance program, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'd like to note that Mr. O'Regan asked to make a public comment a few minutes ago, and I'd like to think that we'd offer him some time right at the end of the meeting to make his
And I'd
comment.
just like to note that Don didn't hear it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, so at the end of the meeting, I hope that we can offer. Yeah, he wanted to speak about the partnership.
Okay.
Or you got a few minutes to think about it.
Next up is,
Make it good.
motion to approve resolution 793, a resolution to authorize the issuance of a city credit card to the librarian. That's on page 34. Ms. Cox?
This is to authorize our newly hired library director to have a city credit card. The monthly limit is $2,500. Just abide by the financial policies and direction of the city administrator in using this credit card. This will enable her to buy the supplies that she needs to order to get the library up and running.
Questions? Motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 793, a resolution to authorize the issuance of a credit card for library director under the city of Lowell.
I'll second.
We have a motion to second to approve resolution 793, a resolution to authorize issuance of a city credit card to the library director under the city of Lowell general account. Other questions or comments from Mr. Conlon? I hear not seeing. All those in favor of motion to approve resolution 793, a resolution to authorize the issuance of a city credit card to the library director under the city of Lowell general account, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And hope a lot of people saw Peggy over at the Blackberry Jam. Very energetic lady, very impressive.
She started at 100 miles per hour, and I'm extremely impressed with the work that she's done so far. We got the right person, folks.
She was over there and she was doing Maggie's job with the books, okay? And I know Maggie had books and everything like that. This lady came up and says, I'm looking for a detective book. How about this one? This was by so-and-so, and it's about so-and-so, whatever she's explaining. Well, how about this one here? This is by so-and-so, and they were a forest ranger here nearby, and you know, you just sitting there, come on now, you know, did she only bring the books that she knew? Or did she just hit it right? But the next best thing was she came over to the information booth, and we were introduced around, and she goes, I'm not very good with names. I'm like, you can pulled out all these names of authors and stuff like that. Like I say, very impressive.
Write a book, Alan, write a book.
Yeah, I tell you what.
I was gonna say, right,
With
books, you'll
crayons.
never forget your name.
My book would come with crayons. Okay, very good. I'm glad that a good hire and great lady. Very impressive. Next up, we're gonna buy some water meters. That's on 36. How about this? We'll talk about this correct equipment for water meters, Mr. Connell.
This will complete the water meter replacement program throughout the city. That includes the residential meters. It includes all the commercial meters. We'll have 100% radio read smart meters. This will also extend all of the ARPA funding that was budgeted in the water fund. We're using all $100,000 of the water fund ARPA monies for this water replacement program, and this will get it done.
How many extra meters are we going to have extra meters left over? Or is this just cover the existing houses, or are we going to have like 10 or 15 for oncoming houses or something like that?
This covers the existing infrastructure. Anything extra will order as needed.
Any other orders would be small.
I'm excited that we get open forward with this to offer the cost savings for the probably anticipated increases in.
Other questions? Motion?
Make a motion to approve sales order 21-193 with correct equipment for water meters in the amount not to exceed $41,500 and authorize the city administrator to sign.
We have a motion and a second to approve sales order 21-193 with correct equipment for water meters for the amount not to exceed $41,500. To authorize the city administrator to sign. Any more questions or comments? All those in favor of motion to approve sales order 21-193 with correct equipment for water meters in the amount not to exceed $41,500 to authorize the city administrator to sign, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 39, page 39, opposed. Development code update.
This is to give an update on the code committee project. After the last code committee meeting, the project management team met to decide on some dates for the next steps. That includes a community meeting, a town hall meeting on the proposed updates. That also includes a joint meeting with city council and the planning commission. I have dates of September 28th for the community meeting, October 18th for the joint city council planning commission meeting. If there are no objections to the council, I'll go ahead and proceed with these meeting dates.
What days of the week are those, Jeremy?
September 28th is a Wednesday. October 18th is your regular second meeting of the month.
Did you send out something today for September 7th?
Pardon me?
You sent out something today about code about September 7th?
That is a regular planning commission meeting for pending land use applications. That doesn't have anything to do with.
We don't have to attend.
That's correct.
Okay, that's all it was addressed to us.
That was just for your
That was
information.
just so we knew.
Or just information. Okay, I didn't know if we were going to needed to be on that. Okay.
So the October 18th meeting, would we possibly meet at 6 or something and have a joint meeting with them before our regular city council meeting? Little logistics on that.
We can do it like that.
I'm not advocating for anything. I'm just, that's an offer. That's an offer. You know, I would rather go earlier with that than run late with our meeting.
I would, I don't know how long that's gonna take, so I would suggest do your council meeting at 6 maybe, and then go into planning joint meeting.
Either way, we start early. Point is, we start early. So, yeah. No, it's okay with me.
Good question. Any other business? Hearing not seeing. And now we're up to community comments. Paul, I understand you have something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on, first of all, I'm glad to hear that the council is becoming flexible on these master plans for the city parks. Because I got the impression we were all tunnel vision. And no, that's just the way it's going to be. Yeah, seems how I don't think only you maybe were involved in creating these master plans. You know, the university was. So I'm glad to hear that. The other thing is, I've always looked at the parks as two different parks. Paul Fisher, Family Park, Rolling Rock, and Adult Interpretive Park, Tourist Park. So maybe you want to keep that in mind also. I'm sure I have plenty of other things to say, but I can't remember now, so let's call it a day.
As the Parks Committee, you can bring it forward.
Yeah, right.
With the British accent.
Anything else? Yes.
I just like to reiterate and ask you folks to consider what leadership did for your school system that was falling apart a few years ago, and where you are today. You've got a super school system. It's wonderful. But I don't see that same leadership coming from the city to take care of a lot of the code sections that has to do with health, welfare, and looks, which I think affects a lot of things, including business coming to this area. So I'd like to, again, remind you to take a look at the code section that deals with the things that you can do on your own. And I hope that you will maybe change your attitude about moving forward with taking care of people who are not complying with that code section as it relates to health, welfare, and the looks of this potentially wonderful.
I'd like to reply if I could to that a little bit.
Pardon me?
I'd like to reply to that a little bit. if I
Okay.
could. So I would like to say that point well taken on some of your statements. But I would like to say that we need to maintain some positivity in this. I've been a member of this community for 53 years. My family's been a member of this community for going on 100 years. Our city is gentrified in a very effective manner. We are in a state of appearances like we've never had in the city before. Our city looks better than it ever has.
Well, I don't argue, and what you say is positive, but the problem I see is that well, Don and I had a coffee a long time ago, and he said, Larry, you're trying to get all this city cleaned up in this time period. And we're looking at it in this time. Quite frankly, since we had our coffee, I don't have arms big enough for the time frame that Don was talking about.
There's no doubt every city will have issues. I'm saying that we are at a time and place in the city where we've addressed issues in a timely manner. The developments that have occurred within the city are positives. The home values in the city have enormously shot up, not just because of the market, but because of people's investments in their properties. Home ownership is up in this community. We have burned down houses that were far below code. Houses are burned down on their own that are far below code. This community is incredibly ahead of where it was 20 years ago and beyond that.
Okay, I'd like to sit down and chat with you.
Yeah,
Right, because
not a problem.
right across the street from the city hall is.
We can always point out the one-offs.
And you put up,
Are you familiar with the Whipple Apartments?
but this guy lives next to this building.
I
And you
know,
can
I
only
know, I
walk.
know. We
And
can
you
always
guys-
point out to one of us, every city is gonna have problems, and I appreciate your concerns. And I think as a community, we've tried to address those concerns.
Okay. It's a difference of opinion as far as addressing them and not addressing them. But I'd like to see you sit down and have some coffee.
Absolutely, anytime.
Anything else? We're adjourned at 8:48.